Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stash Report from the Stash Project. This is our June compilation video, basically, for the new folks. Hey, welcome. We do these videos once a month at the top to sort of cover everything we expect to see released during the given month. This, of course, June of 2018. Now, as it stands right now, there is only one domestic kit release slated for this month. We have heard, however, that the upcoming Salvino Jr. Models Buddy Baker NASCAR kit of the, I believe it was really a 1977 Oldsmobile that ran in 1980 because of the way NASCAR rules were back then, where you could run body styles for 4 years. That kit is supposed to ship this month, but we don't deal in maybes here. So if we get more solid information on that, in terms of like, oh, it actually did ship, we'll come back and mention that, and of course we'll talk about it if that kit comes out this month. The rest of the kits are, of course, overseas stuff, and there's nothing particularly new in anything here. There's one modified reissue, and then most of this is just the summer of of reissues, basically. So let's just cover it real quick here. Your domestic kit is going to be an AMT release, and there's going to be a reissue of the 1957 Chrysler 300C, a kit that I'm not sure has seen the light of day in quite a while. I'd have to go look at when the last time this was released. I think it got a release back during the Racing Champions era of releases, but it has not seen the light of day, at least in the last 10 years that Round 2 has been leasing and then owning the tooling at AMT and MPC. It's got the faux vintage box art the way the Edsel did. So it's that sort of style, and it is just the factory stock kit as it was back in the 1990s. So it is a new tool AMT kit in the sense that it is one of the 1990s era things. It is not from the 1950s. When you're dealing with AMT kits and these reissues of cars from the 50s and 60s, sometimes they're new-ish, and then other times they're really old. So this is one of the new-ish ones. And then, like I said, we're going over to Japan here. So Platts has the Girl Panzer D1 Grand Prix 2017 Nissan Silvia drift car from the Gulf Racing guys. We just talked about that video or two ago as being a new release. Hasegawa has several reissues and one modified reissue for this month. The straight reissues are an STP liveried Toyota 87C, it's a Group C race car, reissue of the Mitsubishi Evo 3. Significant in the fact that that kit hasn't been reissued for a while, and it is, again, substantially better than your Fujimi option, as are most of the Evos that Hasegawa did versus the Fujimi kits, mainly because the Fujimi kits are such a compromise. From Evo 3 to Evo 9, if you get any of those kits, you'll notice that a lot of the parts are the same, and they shouldn't be. So, if you can grab one of the Hasegawa kits, if you're an Evo fan, and you grab one of the Hasegawa kits, it's again, just a better option. They're going to reissue the Mazda Cosmos, the little two-seater 1960s Japanese sports car with the MAT tie-in, which was a TV show, and it's going to come with a resin figure, so resin figures being the thing at Hasegawa lately. And then the one modified reissue is the little Honda Civic SB1 Team Yamato race car. That's the one that we just showed you pictures of a few weeks ago in the Shizuoka show report. That is the little mini endurance racer, and this will be the second release of Hasegawa's new tool Civic, first gen Civic kit. So looking forward to that one. It's just a little interesting conversation piece for the race car builders out there. Over at Fujimi, they're reissuing a long ago and probably long forgotten Toyota Crown Royal kit. This one's going to be an S130 generation supercharger, which was a engine trim level that was done back then. I don't think that kit has seen the light of day in 20 years, maybe, or so. I mean, they've done their S130 Crown release before in a couple different ways, but this specific kit has not been out for a while. And then the rest of these 4 releases for the month of June are going to be initial D tie-ins, and they are the Honda Integra Type R Smiley Sacco, the Toyota Altezo Nubushiko, the Toyota 1186 Akiyama Watoro, and the Nissan 180 SX Kenji. So if you're an Initial D manga fan, there's a number of kits being reissued there. Those are just going to be their straight kits. They'll have new decals to tie them in with Initial D as far as like number plates and things like that. I don't believe any of these have been done as Initial D kits before, at least not as these. I've dug around and looked, and I don't see anywhere where these were done as Initial D series kits. They've been done on like the Toge Mountain Pass series, several of them, but not in Initial D specifically. So those may be new kits in that format. And lastly, that takes us to Aoshima. There are a number of just straight reissues, which we'll cover real quick here, and they are the Subaru Sandbar in the World Rally Blue. That's the pickup, little K pickup truck. The 1998 Toyota Chaser Tourer 5. The fabulous Toyota Celsior, that's a VIP kit. The 1982 Datsun Custom Truck, and that's the little lowrider. The Ings Tuner WRX STI 2007 Subaru. They're going to reissue the Meister S1Rs and the VXS 110 wheels. And then in the 14-inch wheel sets, they're going to reissue the Yayoi, the Longchamp XR4, and the Hayashi wheels. The Lamborghini Huracan is going to get another reissue along with its detail upset for the photo etch for that. The Lamborghini Aventador Super Veloce is going to get a reissue, and then the 2012 Toyota 86, which of course would be the kit that was just modified, into the 2012 here, not too long ago, about a year and a half ago, is getting another reissue in the pre-painted in Lightning Red. That kit has been out before in that pre-paint color, just giving it another reissue. Now the stuff that is into the being boxed basically into the new tool stuff, or the new box stuff, I should say, not new tool stuff. On the tuned model car side of things, they're going to be reissuing the 2001 Nissan SEMA F50 Mode Parfum VIP car and the 1996 Toyota Soarer Vertex. And that Vertex is, of course, a reissue of the old D1 Grand Prix 96 Toyota Soarer kit. So another run for that. And then in the model car lineup, they're going to reissue the 1982 Toyota Celica XX, which of course we here in the United States will call it Toyota Supra. And that's going to come out either in the 2800 GT or 2000 Turbo trim levels. So a couple of boxing kits boxed together, basically. It was very minor trim differences between the two. It might be a wheel difference. Overall, the kits are the same, mainly decals and things like that. And all of these, by the way, are old Best Car Vintage kits. So all of these kits that I'm going to talk about here are, motorized and have all of those issues. They're going to reissue their 1983 Nissan Pulsar. An interesting car, interesting kit. Just because of what the Pulsar was. It was just an odd-looking vehicle compared to a lot of the other stuff in the Nissan line. Fortunately, that's a JDM-only car, as far as I know. I don't believe there's any left-hand drive for that. I know we got that car here in the United States. Reissue of the Nissan 1984 Nissan Silvia S12 Gazelle. Now, the Silvia and the Gazelle were two trim levels. One was sold at the top-level Nissan dealership. The other one was sold at sort of the entry-level Nissan dealerships. Yes, in Japan, Nissan split their dealerships based on sort of your income level because, of course, Japanese road taxes being what they are, the bigger the engine you have, the more taxes it costs and all that sort of thing. So, effectively, the car is identical to one another. It's just the trim, the badging and things like that are different. The Gazelle option in this kit hasn't been seen for a while. The Silvia S12 has been reissued, I believe, at least once in the last 4 years we've been doing this show. And then last but not least for the model car lineup is a reissue of the 1990 Toyota Cresta 2.5 Super Lucent, which was a trim level. This kit in particular has not been seen, I don't believe. I believe it may have had one reissue since the early 1990s. But this kit is one of those cars that was done, and if you want to try to track one of these things down, you're looking at paying like $90 to $100, even in Japan. It's a long ago and far away reissue in terms of how accessible it is. And so having this kit back is kind of interesting. Again, if you have to be, I realize when we start talking about these Japanese kits and things like that, you have to be a fan of the subject matter in the first place. But for somebody like me who is, having this Cresta come back is very, very cool. It is one of the very few mid-size four-door Toyota kits that I don't have. And again, it was incredibly, excuse me, incredibly expensive, even trying to buy it overseas, and it's unobtainium here in the United States. I don't even know that the kit was imported here. I'm sure some of them got here somehow, but back in the 90s, that was when Aoshima, prior to American Satco, didn't have a very large presence here. And even the kits, like, that kit, as far as I remember, is not a best car vintage. It has a real chassis and curbside and everything, but it has a real chassis with real suspension pieces rather than it being like a metal axle and the battery boxes and the switches and all that crap that comes in the best car vintage kits. But even like, in the 1990s, the best car vintage stuff was being released here as, that was what their kits were. So mid 1990s was sort of that turning point at Aoshima where they started releasing kits that were, new tools that weren't just these old motorized kits with new pieces added to them. So again, you have to be a fan of the subject matter. I understand, but to me personally, that both having the Cresta come back and the reissue of the Crown Royal Supercharger at Fujimi are very exciting because they are kits that are incredibly hard to obtain if you're a fan of the cars and the subject matter. So anyway, guys, that's what we expect you to spend your money on this month. We'll keep you up to date on everything else as far as, other kits. I believe this month we're supposed to see the Pirelli 25th anniversary Volkswagen GTI kit out of Revell of Germany, or just the Revell now. As far as I know, that kit is still on time as far as being released globally. Remember, here in the United States right now, we do not have an importer for Revell of Germany or the Revell. So, for the next, 3 months, maybe to the end of this year, Revell kits may not be easy to acquire. Nothing's going to be restocked, and until this, distribution situation gets itself worked out. But the Revell stuff that is being released is available globally. It will be available Hobby Link Japan, Hobby Search, Spot Models, and Hero Boy, and everything overseas will carry the kits because those distribution deals didn't have anything to do with the people here in the United States. As a matter of fact, we've seen here just I'm recording this Saturday morning on the June 2nd. We just saw this morning both Hobby Link Japan and Hobby Search got a massive dose of reissues of Revell of Germany kits. The Panamera, the Porsche Junior Tractor, along with all of sort of the older stuff. So, Revell of Germany, the Revell, is still active. Like they're not taking a hiatus in all of this. They're still chugging right along and producing reissues of the kits and that are out of stock and things like that. So, I mean, I know it's not a lot of solace to a United States consumer who wants, gas R's and things like that, but at least the company itself is still, rolling along. Sorting the United States stuff out, taking time, but the overall company, it's still there, still moving, still producing. So that to me is a very good sign for the future, just because that part of the company didn't take a hiatus. They're just trucking along, and so long as they're still operating at full strength, then the rest of the stuff will work itself out over time. So anyway, guys, hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.